In professional wrestling, the usage of steroids was long acknowledged. It was obvious that performers who had previously used the juice to bulk up their bodies had stopped using it for a variety of reasons. Olympic gold medalist and WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle has been open about everything in his life, even his problems with opioids. He has also acknowledged utilizing drugs to improve his ring performance, even though he never had the same physical attributes as some of his contemporaries. Angle told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he took steroids to help heal his broken neck. He claimed that in addition to paying a punishment of $125,000, he also lost his reputation. Prior to his eventual dismissal, Angle served a 30-day suspension from WWE after testing positive for drugs in 2006. Angle stated, "You can test me right now in 2009. I'll reveal the truth." However, there came a moment when I wasn't. Angle was notably more slender after using steroids. When the 50-year-old faced Baron Corbin in his last match at WrestleMania 35, he appeared very different. One of the most well-known figures in the industry, William Regal, has publicly acknowledged using steroids while simultaneously supporting WWE's wellness program. In Walking a Golden Mile, his autobiography published in 2005, Regal acknowledged using steroids. In the book, he claimed to have used gas from 2004 to 2006, but in 2008 he failed a drug test. He was given a 60-day suspension for failing the exam. Shortly after, he emerged victorious in the King of the Ring competition that year. Before that ban, Regal said to Sunshine Coast Daily in 2007 that he experimented with steroids when he was in his early 20s, really early 20s, while still living in England and touring the globe. However, no one ever made me or told me to. We are checked quite carefully these days, and if men use steroids and are tested, they will be detected either by being suspended or fired or by being found out. Regal is no longer a professional fighter. Sting, a current AEW star, WWE Hall of Famer, and all-around wrestling great, has acknowledged using performance-enhancing drugs once in his career. "My best score on the bench press, according to the Icon, was 435. In addition to being on the gas, I was younger." But Sting stopped taking steroids early in his career. He claimed that in 1990 he became wise and gave up using narcotics. He claimed that many of the people he ran with back then continued to take them, and that they now experience joint problems, such as problems with their hips and knees, much like he did. Sting claimed to have observed that the bodies of wrestlers who use steroids, including himself, become excessively thick, and keeping up the training just made it unsustainable. Sting is not the big man he was in the beginning of his career, which could cause issues down the road. Even yet, he's still competing at 64 years old. He's now on an AEW retirement tour. In the heyday of 90s WWF, Ahmed Johnson emerged as a shining star, adorned with the prestigious Intercontinental Championship. Reflecting on his journey, Johnson candidly revealed his experience with steroids during his wrestling tenure. In a revealing conversation on the Monty and the Pharaoh podcast, Johnson disclosed the prevailing culture of steroid use within the competitive realm of WWF. He emphasized how, in that era, steroid consumption was virtually obligatory for maintaining a competitive edge and securing one's position at the pinnacle of the industry. Johnson's assertion that just about all the boys was on it underscores the pervasive nature of this practice among wrestlers. Despite the physical enhancements steroids offered, Johnson's ascent within WWF was halted short of its zenith, even with the aid of performance-enhancing substances. Intriguingly, Johnson noted the paradoxical acceptance of drug and alcohol use compared to the taboo surrounding steroids within the wrestling community. As his career neared its conclusion, Johnson grappled with multiple injuries, prompting him to relinquish steroid usage. Today, Johnson's transformed physique serves as a testament to his commitment to health and well-being in retirement. Renowned Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts found himself grappling with the dilemma of utilizing steroids during the robust era of the 80s. However, he candidly confessed to incorporating them into his regimen to expedite the recovery process from injury. Emphasizing his moderation, Roberts clarified that his usage never paralleled the intensity prevalent among his peers in the locker room. Reflecting on his decision, he remarked, "I resorted to them briefly, particularly following my neck surgery, driven by the desire for a swifter recuperation." Vince McMahon acknowledged using steroids before to 1991, the year the Controlled Substances Act made them illegal. At that point, the WWF's then chairman announced the organization to be drug-free, and wrestlers started to undergo testing for steroids. McMahon most likely ceased using performance enhancers at that point, but in the years that followed, he continued to flaunt his enormous physique. In 2015, he was featured on the cover of Muscle Fitness magazine. At that point, McMahon was getting close to 70 years old, and he told the magazine that he trained every body part once a day, every week, a routine that bodybuilders follow. In 2023, McMahon had a major spine surgery, partly as a result of overtraining. He is unlikely to return to the ring anytime soon, as he has been observed using a cane to walk. His final match was at WrestleMania 38, where he unexpectedly faced Pat McAfee and Stone Cold Steve Austin in what was ostensibly a match. Vince McMahon, who once used drugs to stay in shape, is very different from the persona he is now portraying in the public, especially at the press conference announcing WWE's merger with UFC. Chris Masters, now known as Chris Adonis, has changed drastically throughout the years. After being released from the WWE in 2011 due to several infractions of wellness policies, the master of the nearly unbreakable master lock is currently performing on the independent circuit. Masters said that rather than steroids, several of these infractions were the result of a painkiller addiction. He clarified that he returned to his pre-steroid weight because he was exercising 2 miles a day as a kind of treatment, not because he had quit using steroids. Commentators also mentioned Masters' thinner build upon his return to the company following his several suspensions, indicating that he never really put on the weight he once did in the WWE. With his slender wrestling build, he is essentially unrecognizable today. Lex Luger, the former WCW champion, has been quite transparent about his past usage of performance-enhancing drugs. He has even gone so far as to refer to himself as one of the biggest cheaters in the wrestling business. In order to bulk up, Luger acknowledged that he used a 6-week cycle in which he stopped his body's natural production of steroids and replaced the hormones with testosterone. Luger claimed he would smuggle in fictitious urine samples to submit to drug testing. He further acknowledged that he would even threaten technicians to tell lies on his behalf. We all want there were fair playing fields, but as he said to WGRZ, it's kind of like work hard, play hard. Furthermore, you don't want the guys if the other guys are going along with it. Luger said that switching from steroids to an anti-aging supplement toward the end of his career made him appear thinner. According to Luger, who has acknowledged leading a difficult past, this included using alcohol and other substances, he told ESPN. These days, Luger is essentially unrecognizable. His wrestling career came to an end in 2007 when a neck nerve injury rendered him paralyzed. Thank goodness he can now walk with a cane. Throughout his professional wrestling career, the Ultimate Warrior was an acknowledged heavy user of steroids, which many fans feel contributed to his 2014 heart attack death at the age of 54. In 2008, Warrior discussed the benefits and drawbacks of steroid use in an interview with FlynnFiles.com. Speaking of them, he claimed, was a catch-22 since, quote, they weren't entirely negative or positive. Warrior continued saying that during his time in WCW, men were traveling to the Bahamas for physical exams in an attempt to find legal ways to obtain a year's supply of steroids. Later in the interview, Warrior declared that he was off the gas and that he would have needed a dump truck to carry his liver if he had been using steroids at that time. 2014 saw comments about Warrior's use of steroids from WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart. He claimed that shortly after Warrior passed away, he sensed that Warrior wasn't feeling well when he saw him on the weekend of WrestleMania 30. I don't think it would be a surprise to hear he took steroids for a long period, and I don't know if he ever stopped, Hart stated. During the 1980s, Hulk Hogan was one of the major WWF megastars promoted by Vince McMahon. 1994 saw the indictment of McMahon by the U.S. Department of Justice, which brought the promoter to trial for allegedly distributing steroids. Hogan was asked to give evidence. Hogan insisted before the trial that he had never taken steroids, but when questioned under oath, he acknowledged using them. He claimed that in the 1980s, steroid use was somewhat widespread among WWF wrestlers. Hogan said in court that he would give McMahon's secretary a call in order to place an order with George Zahorian, a physician in Pennsylvania. Hogan asserted that he used the medications to treat injuries rather than to increase performance. Hogan testified, but McMahon was cleared of all allegations. I sustained the same kind of muscular damage 3 times. That's all the steroid use Hulk Hogan has ever done. Known for his 24-inch pythons, Hogan's look underwent a significant transformation around the trial. Hogan claimed to have survived the excessive steroid use that was apparently widespread inside the organization in a 1993 interview. Although the Hulkster was undoubtedly in good shape during his final Impact Wrestling battles in 2011 and 2012, he no longer resembled the muscular superhero he depicted during his WWF golden years. And there you have it, folks, a glimpse into the world of wrestlers who drastically transformed after dropping steroids. From overcoming challenges to embracing change, these athletes have proven that anything is possible with dedication and determination.